A single gunshot can change everything. One moment of betrayal can turn an empire upside down. Madam has ruled with power, fear, and loyalty, but every queen has enemies. The question isn't whether someone would try to take her down, it's who would dare to pull the trigger. And in the chaos that follows, the truth is always darker than what we see on the surface. Madam has always lived at the top of a dangerous world. A place where love, loyalty, and survival are all tested every single day. From the outside, she looks untouchable, a queen with an empire built on strength and intelligence. But behind the glamour, her life has always been a battlefield. Each decision she makes creates allies, but also enemies, and those enemies do not forget. They wait in the shadows, they plan, and they strike when the moment feels right. For Madam, the shot that rings out is not just a warning, it is a message that her time as queen is under fire. Season after season, we've watched her fight to keep control. She has dealt with betrayal, heartbreak, and rivals that seemed impossible to defeat. Yet she always came out stronger, always one step ahead. But the thing about power is that it never comes without a price. When someone rises so high, they become a target from every direction. Every smile hides suspicion, every handshake could be a setup, and every secret could be the one that brings everything crashing down. Madam knows this better than anyone, but even she could not predict how close danger would get. The world around her has grown colder, darker, and more unpredictable. Friends who once stood by her side now carry doubts. Some of them question her choices, others envy her throne. And then there are those who seek revenge for past wounds, people who lost everything because Madam won. These are not strangers, they are ghosts from her past, waiting for the chance to strike back. In a world where trust is the rarest currency, Madam's greatest strength has also become her greatest weakness. She has built an empire on loyalty, but loyalty can crack. And once it does, the damage is permanent. The shooter is not just an enemy, it is a symbol of everything Madam has tried to outrun. Years of power come with a trail of broken promises and broken hearts. Somewhere among those shadows, someone made the choice to end her reign with a bullet. And while everyone asks, who pulled the trigger? The real question lingers deeper. Why now? Timing is everything in the game of power. And whoever aimed that gun knew that striking in this moment would shake not just Madam, but the entire empire. What makes this moment so chilling is not only the act itself, but the uncertainty it leaves behind. For Madam, nothing is safe anymore. Her home, her business, even the people she thought she could count on may now be threats. Power has always been her weapon, but now it has turned into her curse. She is not just fighting for control of her empire, she is fighting for her survival. And survival, in her world, doesn't always mean defeating the enemy. Sometimes, it means facing the painful truth that the enemy was closer than she ever imagined. As the story unfolds, the empire begins to shake. Every character around her is thrown into the storm. Some will rise in loyalty, others will crumble in fear, and a few will reveal their true colors. This is not just another chapter in Madam's journey, it is the beginning of a war where every secret matters and every bullet has a name written on it. The shooter may have tried to silence her, but in doing so, they have lit the fuse for a story bigger than anyone could have expected. The silence after the gunshot is louder than the blast itself. It leaves a shadow that lingers in every corner, a fear that spreads through the empire like smoke from a fire. Who would dare to take a shot at Madam? The question burns in the minds of everyone connected to her world, because the truth is that the list of suspects is longer than most want to admit. And in a place where power rules and betrayal hides behind every smile, anyone could be holding the smoking gun. The first and most obvious possibility is betrayal from within. Madam has built her empire on loyalty, but loyalty is fragile when money and power are involved. Those closest to her know her moves, her weaknesses, and her vulnerabilities better than anyone else. An enemy from the outside might try to guess her next step, but an insider doesn't need to guess, they already know. Could the shooter be someone who once stood by her side, someone who swore to protect her but decided the crown would fit better on their own head? History tells us that the greatest empires often fall not because of enemies, but because of traitors who once sat at the same table. Still, we cannot rule out the rivals who have been circling Madame for years. Her rise to the top has left a trail of shattered opponents, many of whom have nothing left but the hunger for revenge. These are people who lost everything because Madame won. For them, the gunshot was not just an act of violence, it was justice, a chance to take back the power they believe was stolen from them. They don't care about building an empire or sitting on the throne. For them, it's simpler. They just want to see Madame fall. Then there are those who exist in the shadows, the silent enemies whose names are barely whispered but whose presence is always felt. These are figures who move behind the scenes, unseen but always watching, waiting for the perfect time to strike. The shooter could be a phantom from Madame's past, a forgotten debt come back to collect, or even someone whose face she doesn't recognize, but whose pain runs deep. The thing about living in a world built on power is that the people you step over never forget the weight of your foot. But perhaps the most dangerous suspects are the ones Madame trusts the most. What if the shooter isn't a rival or an outsider at all, but someone she considers family? A betrayal from within her inner circle would cut deeper than any bullet. It wouldn't just wound her body, it would wound her soul, tearing apart the foundation of loyalty and trust she has built her life upon. Imagine the pain of realizing that the person you turn to in moments of danger is the same one who pulled the trigger. That kind of betrayal doesn't just break hearts. It destroys entire empires. The speculation doesn't stop there. Some whisper that the shooter may not even be acting alone. In a world as ruthless as Madame's, alliances form in the shadows. Enemies who once hated each other can suddenly unite if it means bringing down the queen. A conspiracy, a carefully planned hit designed not just to end Madame's reign, but to send a clear message: no one is untouchable. The possibility of multiple hands guiding this attack makes the mystery even more chilling, because it means the danger is not tied to a single face, it's a web of enemies, each one willing to sacrifice everything to watch her fall. Every theory leads to more questions. If it was a rival, how did they get close enough to strike? If it was an insider, why risk everything now? If it was someone from her past, what unfinished business is still haunting her? Each possibility twists the knife deeper, and every answer opens the door to another layer of betrayal. The shooter is not just a single person, it is the embodiment of every wrong turn, every broken promise, and every ruthless choice Madame has ever made. What makes this mystery even more powerful is the timing. Why now? Why in this moment, when Madame's grip on her empire seems both secure and fragile all at once? The answer may lie not in the gunshot itself, but in what comes after. A single bullet can do more than wound, it can unravel entire dynasties. Whoever pulled that trigger knew that this shot would echo far beyond Madame's body. It would send fear through her allies, doubt through her circle, and chaos through her empire. And in a world where chaos is currency, the shooter has already gained power. Whether Madame survives or not, the identity of the shooter remains hidden, but the ripples of their action are already visible. Trust is broken, alliances are shifting, and enemies are circling closer than ever. Madame may recover, she may rise again, but she will never look at those around her the same way. And that, perhaps, is the greatest weapon of all, not the bullet, but the doubt it leaves behind. Because when you no longer know who to trust, everyone becomes a suspect, and every shadow feels like the face of the enemy. This mystery is more than a storyline. It is the heartbeat of power itself, the eternal question of who stands beside you and who hides a knife behind their back. Madame's shooter is still faceless, but their presence has already changed everything. The bullet may have been meant for her, but its impact has struck the entire empire, leaving a trail of fear, suspicion, and the promise of war. Sometimes the greatest twists don't happen on screen. They happen behind the curtain, in the spaces fans never get to see but always feel. While Madame's shooter has become the question that grips the story, another drama has been unfolding off camera, one that could be even bigger than the bullet itself. The name at the center of this storm is Christian Kai's. For years, he has been both the creative mind and the heart of this world. shaping the characters, guiding the stories, and breathing life into the empire of all the Queen's men. But when the spotlight shifts from the story to the storyteller, everything changes. Christian Kai's is not just a name on the credits, he is the architect of Madam's kingdom. His voice echoes in every scene, his vision in every twist, his hand in every character's fate. The tension around Kai's has sparked endless debate. Some say the pressure of carrying such a powerful story has taken its toll. Others claim conflicts behind the scenes have become impossible to ignore. There are rumors of creative clashes, disagreements over direction, and struggles that mirror the very betrayals we see in the show. When art begins to imitate life, or perhaps when life begins to imitate art, the line between fiction and reality grows blurry. And fans can't help but wonder how much of the drama we see on screen is born from the chaos happening behind it. For those who have followed his career, Christian Kai's is more than a writer or actor. He is a symbol of resilience and creativity. He built stories that captured the pain and power of survival, the cost of ambition, and the fire of loyalty. But even the strongest creators are human, and humans carry battles the world doesn't always see. The weight of an empire, even a fictional one, can crush the shoulders that built it. And when the architect begins to stumble, the entire structure feels the tremor. What makes this moment so captivating is how the off-screen drama mirrors the on-screen story. Madam is under attack, betrayed by shadows she cannot name. Kai's, too, finds himself surrounded by speculation, questions about loyalty, and the threat of losing control over the empire he created. In both worlds, the air is heavy with doubt, and the possibility of collapse hangs over everything. The gunshot in the story and the headlines in reality feel like twin echoes of the same storm. The fan community has become its own battlefield. Some stand fiercely by Kai's, defending him as the visionary who gave them unforgettable characters and stories. Others are more critical, questioning his choices, his direction, or his future with the series. In many ways, the audience has become part of the drama itself, their voices adding fuel to the fire. Social media threads read like scripts of their own, filled with passion, anger, and loyalty. Each comment another line in this growing saga. The truth is, when the creator becomes the headline, the story can never stay the same. Whether Kai's continues to guide all the Queen's men, or whether new hands take the wheel, the show will forever carry the shadow of this moment. Just as Madam cannot return to who she was before the shot was fired, the series itself cannot return to what it was before the drama unfolded. Something fundamental has shifted, and fans feel it in every rumor, every update, every pause before the next season. Yet, there is also something undeniably powerful about this chaos. Stories have always thrived on conflict, and now the conflict isn't just fictional, it's real. The world behind the camera has become as riveting as the one in front of it, and for many viewers, that makes the entire experience more addictive. They're not just watching a show anymore. They're watching a saga, one that bleeds across screens and headlines. One that forces them to question what's scripted and what's real. Christian Kai's stands at the center of it all. Both admired and scrutinized, both celebrated and challenged. His journey mirrors Madam's in more ways than one. A rise to power, enemies waiting in the wings, and the constant test of whether loyalty can survive when ambition and betrayal collide. For Madam, the shooter's bullet was the turning point. For Kai's, the drama surrounding his name may prove to be just as explosive. And as the empire of all the Queen's men moves toward its next chapter, one truth becomes clear. The story of the show and the story of its creator are now forever linked. The bullet may belong to Madam's world, but the real shockwave belongs to Christian Kai's. And sometimes, the bigger story is not the one playing out on screen, but the one unfolding just beyond it. In the world of television, stories rarely exist in isolation. They spell into one another, overlap in themes, and echo across different shows until they feel like parts of a greater universe. For fans of all the Queen's men, the shock of Madam's shooter is already a storm to process. But what makes this storm even more fascinating is how it seems to connect with another powerful series, Ruthless TV. two worlds, two sets of characters, and two different storylines, yet both bound by the same thread of betrayal, survival, and power. The connection isn't always obvious at first glance, but for those who watch closely, the similarities are too strong to ignore. Ruthless is a series that dives deep into manipulation, secrets, and the dangerous game of loyalty. It is a world where nothing is ever as it seems, and where trust is the most dangerous gamble a character can take. In that sense, it mirrors Madam's empire almost perfectly. Both shows revolve around leaders who rule with authority, surrounded by people who both fear and admire them. Both are filled with characters who walk the thin line between devotion and treachery. And in both, survival comes at the cost of constant sacrifice. It's no wonder that fans of one series naturally find themselves drawn to the other. The fascinating part is how the mysteries of one series seem to feed into the other, even when the stories don't directly cross. Madam Shooter raises questions about betrayal within the inner circle, while Ruthless often highlights how blind loyalty can lead to destruction. Together, the two shows create a conversation: how much of power is built on trust, and how much of it is destined to collapse under lies. For fans, watching both series side by side feels like watching two mirrors reflect the same storm from different angles. The connection goes beyond themes; it lies in the audience itself. Ruthless TV has become a hub for theories, predictions, and debates that spill over into all the Queen's men. On forums, social media threads, and fan channels, people don't just discuss one show in isolation. They weave them together, pulling lessons and ideas from one to apply to the other. A betrayal in Ruthless sparks speculation about Madam's fate. A twist in All the Queen's Men inspires predictions about what might unravel in Ruthless. The two fandoms are no longer separate; they are building a shared universe of imagination, speculation, and excitement. Some fans even suggest that the two shows could directly intertwine, hinting at future crossovers or shared story arcs. Whether or not that ever happens doesn't even matter. The seed of possibility is powerful enough to keep viewers hooked. When audiences begin to believe that the bullet aimed at Madam might have echoes in another story, or that the struggles of Ruthless could ripple into her world, they begin to watch with sharper eyes. Every detail becomes a clue, every twist a potential connection. Suddenly, both shows are not just entertainment; they're part of a larger puzzle, one that only the most devoted fans can piece together. What makes this crossover energy so unique is that it's not forced. It doesn't need official confirmation to feel real. The themes of control, betrayal, and survival are universal enough to blend seamlessly. Madam Shooter represents the ultimate betrayal of trust, while Ruthless constantly explores how blind faith can lead characters to destruction. These ideas speak the same language, and fans recognize it instinctively. It's as though the two shows are different chapters of the same book, written with the same ink of suspense and drama. The speculation about the connection also adds fuel to the fire of anticipation. When fans talk about Madam's fate, they bring up lessons learned from Ruthless. They ask whether Madam's downfall might mirror the collapse of blind leaders in the other series. They question if betrayal always comes from the same place inside, from those closest to the throne. And most importantly, they wonder whether either leader, Madam or the powerful figures in Ruthless, can ever truly escape the curse of power. As both shows continue to unfold, this crossover energy makes every moment feel bigger than itself. Madam Shooter is not just a question within her world; it's a symbol that resonates across the entire fan base of Ruthless TV. The betrayal, the suspense, and the consequences are shared experiences, connecting audiences in a larger community of speculation and storytelling. It transforms the act of watching into something more interactive, more communal, more thrilling. At the heart of it, the Ruthless connection reminds us that stories are never confined to the screen. They bleed into conversations, shape debates, and inspire imagination far beyond their boundaries. Madam's bullet doesn't just pierce her empire; it pierces the world of her fans, sparking theories that travel into other universes, other storylines, other shows. And in that way, All the Queen's Men and Ruthless become more than dramas; they become shared worlds, forever linked by the timeless themes of betrayal, power, and the price of loyalty, and maybe that's the real secret. Madam Shooter isn't just a mystery within her story, it's a mirror of every story that thrives on the same dangerous truth. When loyalty is tested, when ambition collides with faith, when trust shatters under the weight of power, the result is always the same. Someone pulls the trigger. Whether it's in Madam's world or in the world of Ruthless, the shot is never just a sound, it's an echo, and it carries across every empire built on secrets.